Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Jimbo Love Show featuring yours truly, Seth Matthew. We got a great show for you in store today where we don't bullshit the facts and we give you our honest opinion on live games. We're going to start off today with the Winter Olympics. Jim, what do you got for us?
Oh my goodness, that was a great opening, by the way. Winter Olympics, they are winding down, folks. We've got one more day left. I believe the 20th is the cutoff for the Olympics. And we've got some really cool things on the schedule today. So guys, if you've gotten a little sick of the Olympics, maybe you've seen it and watched it enough, today is going to be really interesting. And a lot of it has to do with just if you have and you like the purity of the sport that's being performed, because the United States is not in a lot of these games. Curling, women's curling, we've got Switzerland versus Sweden in the bronze medal game. That was played this morning, so they're going to replay that at 3 o'clock today Mountain Standard Time. Men's bronze medal game is the exact same two countries. Again, it's Switzerland versus Sweden. Boy,
Hey,
a lot of S's
that's
on
great,
that one,
yeah.
right there. Switzerland.
A tongue twister for you.
And, if you don't like hot chocolate, you can get some, what's that stuff they call that? Lutefisk?
Lutefisk.
Speed skating is a mass start. The finals start at 7:15 a.m. this morning, so that's already been done. Bobsled, 2 women. There's the third and the fourth heats, so you'll get a chance to see that. Men's gold medal curling. We're a little disappointed, right?
Yeah.
We were defending champions.
Yeah, we fell just short.
And we've got Great Britain versus Sweden, and that starts probably in about 45 minutes.
And I think Great Britain's going to take that one. Great Britain has a solid curling team. I honestly thought it was going to be the United States versus Great Britain in the finals personally, but you know what? It just didn't work our way this year.
Yeah, that's okay. The women's gold medal curling is Japan versus Great Britain. So Great Britain, hats off to you guys for having both your men and women's curling teams in the finals for a gold medal game. That's saying something.
Yeah, that's hard to do. I mean, that just goes to show you the programs they have out there and the training they do, that they were able to produce both men's and women's.
That's just wonderful for them. Gold medal, and this really hurts me to say this, but the gold medal hockey game tonight at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Finland versus Russia, or ROC.
Who do you got?
Want to call it. I'm going to hope for Finland because I don't like Russia, but it's kind of ironic that Finland and Russia were the two teams that our Miracle team beat in order to get the gold in the 1980 Lake Placid Winter Olympics.
Yeah, and I mean, we just fell short. I mean, we started out great in the round robin for America. As soon as we got to the elimination stage, that's our first loss of the whole thing. Are you kidding me? We were the number 1 seed losing to Slovenia. It was just an unfortunate series of events, but you know what?
Sometimes the puck, rolls, as they used to say in The Color of Money, sometimes the balls roll funny, and that's a pool game. Sometimes the puck slides funny.
That's a great movie. I love that movie, actually.
Another Paul Newman movie, I'm telling you right
maybe
now.
we're big Paul Newman fans, and Tom Cruise is in it.
Tom Cruise, definitely, and he is old Vince.
Yep.
Oh, I'll tell you, that's a great movie. Figure skating exhibition gala tonight, so if you're a real big figure skating fan, you'll get a chance to see all of the medal winners, and everybody else is going to be doing an exhibition event. I think it's going to be just kind of nice, it's something you want to curl up with your lady friend and just enjoy it. The last thing, and this is going to be the science and math portion of our segment today, we have the 30, and don't you cheat over here, we have the 30 kilometer cross-country ski race.
Ooh.
So real quick, Seth, how many miles is that?
I'm going to go with 22.
Okay, so you remember it's 6.2 every 10 miles.
Okay.
So 6.2 times 3.
So
18.6 miles.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I was close.
Yes, you were. I mean, you were at least 8 miles away.
Gave it my college best.
And let's talk about the medal count real quick. We've got Norway, who's just kicking butt with 35 total medals. They have 15 gold, 8 silvers, and 12 bronzes. I'm not going to go through each one of these breakdowns, but basically, we have an interesting kind of thing here. So you have Norway that has 35 total medals, and the way people rank these medals, sometimes it's by how many golds you have.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way the ranking was the way I pulled it off the internet
Like
today.
if Ricky Bobby said, if you're not first, you're last.
That's right, that's right. But Russia, who's sitting at number 8 as far as the gold medal count with only 6, has 31 total medals. So that's the Russian ROC, whatever you want to call it. Germany second with 24. Notice the difference. You have a little country like Norway, okay? They live and die for the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, they dominate.
35 total medals, and then the closest people to them, of course, is Russia. But as far as the ranking, you've got Germany at 24, China at 15 is number 3, and U.S. comes in with a dismal 8 golds, 9 silvers, 7 bronzes for a total of 24 total medals.
Yeah, and for those of you that bet on the Winter Olympics at the beginning, United States was 10.5 for gold. Honestly, it looked like you were in good shape at the beginning of the Olympics.
Yes.
With the men's and women's both falling short. That kind of took away 2 medals from you, and we had a couple falters on the way. We'll go over one of our local female athlete from Colorado a little later in the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So 5 is Sweden, 18. Netherlands, 17. What countries make up the Netherlands? Do you know? Is it like, it's got to be Denmark?
No.
There's a
Isn't
couple.
it? Because Denmark has their own. Wouldn't it just be for the Netherlands?
Is there an actual country called the Netherlands?
Isn't it like Holland?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I tell you what, our fact checkers are back there just busting their tails to figure out. Do we have a confirmation? Okay. Yes, we'll talk about that later. Switzerland comes in at 7. Again, Russia's ranked 8th. Austria, my home country, is 17, and then France is number 10 at 14 total. So, you know, what was the guy's name in Ricky Bobby's in Talladega Nights? Jean-Pierre?
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever, the guy that was the nemesis. He's from France. What I wanted to talk about next is something that, you know, maybe a lot of people don't really agree with, but I do, is Mikaela Shiffrin, okay? Everybody knows, it's been well documented that she basically laid a huge egg this Olympics. She was picked to gold medal in at least 2 events, and she should have medaled in probably, who knows how many of the other events she was in. I think she was in a total of 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and she comes walking away with 0. Now, the way that the modern athlete is, normally, what do when they fail? They pick up their toys from the sandbox and they walk home. Well, Mikaela Shiffrin is staying till the very end of the Olympics. She has been available to the social media and the media, and it's very well documented, and she's handling her failure like a champ. She changed her departure time. She could be just kind of taking some time off. I mean, she really, really tried to peak for this Olympics, and she didn't.
Well, and it all goes on location, too. The Olympics are a weird animal. Where it is in China, they don't typically get a lot of snow. A lot of this is man-made snow,
right.
And it has been brutally cold there throughout the Olympics. I remember watching it in the bobsled. They said it was something like negative 10 degrees, which made the ice super hard. So you never know how they're going to do, because she could come back and play in an American event or maybe somewhere else in Europe that actually has natural snow,
yeah.
And she could dominate and win.
Well, that's the thing, is that instead of her taking time off, and if I was Mikaela, I mean, I would take a couple weeks off. You know, I would just go someplace warm, get away from the spotlight, and hang out. But no, not Mikaela Shiffrin. She is going right to the World Cup season. She's continuing it in Europe, and she's going to pick up like she didn't skip a single beat. Remember, now she's 26 years old, okay? She's probably, as a skier, in her prime years. Now, the good thing about it is that she'll come back when she's 30, and she could come back again at 34, and she could technically end up being the most decorated American women's skier. You remember, Lindsey Vonn has 4 gold medals, so
Yep.
That's what she's shooting for. Mikaela is a local girl. She's up in Vail. That's where her permanent residence is. And, you know, there's probably times that she comes down to Denver. And we're going to work really hard to maybe get her on our show at some point in time, because I really respect her. And I think that with all of the things that have been going on and all the pressure, she's handled it better than I've seen a modern day athlete handle failure. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I haven't heard her blame anything. I haven't heard her say boo-hoo about anything. She really just goes out there, tries to do her events, and she moves on. She has a very short memory. As soon as she loses one event, she's on to the next. I'm sure she puts it in her rearview mirror. So you know what? I think she's more than capable to pass Lindsey Vonn for the gold medals.
Yeah, and you know what? And I like Lindsey Vonn too. She's another local product. She lives up in the Valley area somewhere. I mean, she's of course retired now, but she's only 34.
And she was there.
What she was doing some of the commentary.
She was trying to fly out there. I remember at the beginning she was saying, if they let me go, I'm going to go, because she wanted to cheer on USA. So that's just a great person that keeps cheering even when they're after. I really like to see, like, especially with the USA women's soccer team,
Absolutely.
when you see the old champions that have, well, they're not old, but like older players that have long retired, and they go to the commentary booth. It's just really good to get their perspective.
Yeah, we
things.
talked a little bit about that in the preview. Remember, we had two ladies from the 1998 gold medal team who were involved with. Sorry about this. That were involved with going in the locker room and doing some of the commentating for NBC and the affiliate channels.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add about the Olympics? Do you have any things that you saw that stuck out to you? Any highlights?
No, I was going to bring a little bit up later, but you know what? We'll talk a little bit now.
You can tease it. Definitely.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about a controversy that happened in the Olympics with a doping scandal with Russia. But I just read another one today. Not doping, but I believe she was a United States snowboarder, and she had a Prada snowboard. And they basically branded, sponsorship, which is not allowed in the Olympics.
Oh, it's not.
But they allowed her to go down and compete, and then midway through told her she had to get the logo off, and she just withdrew from the event.
Really?
Because she said, if I have to mess with the bottom of the board, it's going to mess with my snowboarding.
Which country was she from?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I thought she might have been ours.
Right.
But the crazy thing about this is for the Olympic Committee, for what we're going to go into a little bit later, is they really need to tighten it up. If you're not going to let somebody have a sponsorship on them, cool. Get it done before their first run so they have time to adjust. But they were trying to go mid-run for her to alter her board. So as much as we're under on the Olympic Committee is under scrutiny, we just got to tighten up. We have 4 years every time in between games to tighten up your rules and to enforce and come up with new game plans. And
I mean, you're on a world stage too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, and you only have to do this once every 4 years.
Yeah.
So you can't get your crap straight?
Yeah, and so that's what's really bothering me about this Olympics. I mean, it's a lot of last-minute changes when I think they should have just been straightforward, told the athletes, hey, this isn't allowed. If they had it, end it right away. Don't let them go down on a run. Don't let them start moving up the rankings and then tell them to change.
Didn't you say that the ROC was not allowed to wear anything signifying Russia?
Yeah.
But yet they marched in on opening ceremonies. No one stopped them and took off their logos. No one made them turn their uniforms inside out. But hey, if you're going to be consistent, they should have started right then and told Russia, either you take those things off, because they're not allowed to display them, right? Because, and tell everybody why Russia is not allowed.
So I can't remember if it was the last Winter Olympics or 2 Olympics ago, because it's been a while.
Yes.
But there was a huge doping scandal with Russia again. And so they are repeat offenders. And I'll go into, I do feel for the girl that got called out for doping. She's only 15. That's a pretty tough thing to take on. So
we're going to go into depth about this. As a matter of
Yes.
fact, Seth is doing a deep dive into it. And so that'll be our part 2. So definitely come back after we finish here, and we're going to do them simultaneously, just like we do every single time, back to back, I should say.
let's go to a more brighter topic. How about we start talking about a little college hockey?
I agree. Well, we can't go on a really high topic because both our teams lost.
Yeah, very unfortunate. It's crazy. I got to look more into it, but it seems like the Olympic roster has not made it back to the college games. Now, I don't know if it's a layover thing, different time zones, if they just wanted to give their guys a break, but I noticed for the St. Cloud State game, their Olympic athletes weren't there, Sam Henches and Nick Perbix, but Brett Larson, the head coach, he was behind the bench coaching. So
Yeah.
We did have the head coach.
Yeah. And you got to remember, and I was telling Seth this before we went on the air, that they're 12 hours difference, 12 to 14 hours difference. And you talk about jet lag.
Yeah.
Okay. Or is it even more? Is it more than 12? No, it's 12 hours. My buddy is in Thailand. Shout out to Dave Gillis in Thailand, and thank you for helping us and getting us some exposure over there in Thailand. Matter of fact, we're pretty big in Thailand.
Hey, got to start somewhere.
Cornell. Let's talk about Cornell Hockey. Okay. I was on the phone with the general manager last night and this morning, Scott Howard. I also talked to, I talked a little bit to Shane, and his last name, I'm sorry, Shane, I don't want to butcher your last name, but it's Tallarico, I think, or I don't know. But anyway, he is the director of hockey operations. So Scott and him are close friends, and basically, here's what he told me. They played at home against Team St. Lawrence, which isn't ranked. I mean, they're horrible. Just to give you a little perspective, if St. Lawrence was to play DU, they would be beaten by 8, 9, or 10 goals. Okay, that's how, and there's no cut on St. Lawrence. They're just not that good. Cornell is struggling and trying to get to the point where they can get an at-large bid for the Frozen Four tournament, and they go in and they lay an egg. Now, tonight is not going to be any easier for them because they're playing Clarkson. Clarkson, in the pairs poll, which is, from what I understand, the pairs poll is what they use to rank people when they're picking it for the final Frozen Four tournament. So we're going to start using the pairs poll as our go-to poll. Clarkson is number 10, okay? Cornell was 24. They're going to probably drop, who knows where, into the 30s, would you guess?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough loss to take. I mean, when you play a team like this, and I mean, it's Cornell's story the whole year. They go into North Dakota, a team that's in the top 10 rankings, and they sweep them in North Dakota.
Yep.
And it seems like they're overlooking opponents because this St. Lawrence team came out and just flat out outplayed them. They outshot them every single period, and they won 2-1 in overtime.
Yes, they did. And it doesn't get any easier for Cornell because their final regular season game is against Quinnipiac, former number 1, who was sitting somewhere around 5, I believe. So they've got 2 really tough games to close out, and then of course they have the ECAC tournament. So
let's see, that could be a savior for them. I mean, unless they lose badly. But here's the thing: you just had a bad loss to an unranked team. Now you're going to go up against a top 5 team. If you can pull out a win here, it's going to add to your strength and possibly help your case for an at-large bid. So they're going to look at quality of wins. They're going to look at quality of losses, which is very bad for Cornell. But
I agree.
They do have some big wins. They've swept North Dakota and possibly going to beat Quinnipiac next week.
Yeah. So basically, before I turn this over to Seth and he's going to take it and run with it, this is the highlight. I'm going to just read it to you. Top-ranked Minnesota State Downs, Bemidji,
Minnesota, up north, almost on the Canadian border.
Okay, Bemidji State. Number 2, Michigan beats number 11, Ohio State. And then our hometown, Colorado, Denver, University of Denver, DU, all those names apply, beats Western Michigan, who is number 6. And then number 9, North Dakota edges number 7, Minnesota Duluth. Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, and for those of you that just heard that bell, the Colorado Avalanche are currently playing on their road trip, and they just scored a goal, so they are up 2-1 currently. But yeah, let's talk a little about how Denver beat Western Michigan. They beat them 4-1. They beat them pretty handily. For me, it was a little low on shots for Denver. They had 36. Now, I say low for Denver because they usually shoot over 40 times a game on target. But they came out scoring in what Denver has really improved on, which I think is making the biggest difference of their season right now, is their power play is coming alive at the right time. 3 out of their 4 goals were scored on the power play. They almost had a 50% power play percentage on scoring, which is just unheard of. Usually you see a team with a good power play, maybe they get 1 out of 5, maybe they get they're around 20%, 10%, and you know what, that's normal. But to have almost 50% of your chances on the power play scoring goals is just unheard of.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, so Western Michigan really needs to tighten up. They need to stop giving so many penalties because Denver only gave them 3 power plays. Western Michigan's also came on a power play. But you give them 7 chances with a man advantage. That's almost a whole period of hockey.
Oh, yeah.
So you really got to get your team disciplined. If I'm that coach, I'm really talking to my team to tighten it up, because Western Michigan is also up for a number 1 seed in the tournament. And you know what? Your boy Carter Savoy came through.
Yes,
I'm starting to be a believer with this guy. He had a goal and an assist.
He's a sophomore.
Yeah, and he is coming around at the right time. So this Denver team, honestly,
we're going to get him on our show. After this season's over, I'm going to go talk to the sports information director, Ron. I may also talk to Amber Fields a little bit too, and we'll see if we can't get him. We'll just do. We'll find out what the procedure is. Now remember, DU has lost in Kalamazoo, which is where Western Michigan is, the last 4 times they've been there. So yesterday's win was a big win. And remember, DU broke their home winning streak. Last week they dropped a game to Minnesota Duluth.
Yeah.
So, way to bounce back, fellas.
Yeah, and I just think the depth of this Denver team is just amazing. If you guys can hear that buzzer, it is now 2-2. Buffalo just scored, so we're in for a good NHL game right now. But, moving on from that game, we had North Dakota versus Duluth. Now, these are 2 teams. North Dakota has done pretty well in conference play, but not good outside of conference play. Like I said earlier, they got swept by Cornell. They are missing one of their top players. He was gone for the Olympics. He's currently injured. Hoping to get him back around tournament time. But it was a battle. It was a 4-3 game, back and forth. North Dakota actually kind of sprung up on Duluth a little early. They were up 3-1, and they were after that, Duluth brought it back within 1, and then North Dakota pulled away. But North Dakota did outshoot them 39-27, but the penalties were costly. The power play for North Dakota capitalized 3 times in the game.
Wow.
And so ending up with 3 out of 4 power plays scoring. That is just another great performance on special teams, because that's what these college games come down to. It's capitalizing in the moment.
Yep.
You could get outplayed all game, but if you get 3 power plays and you score on 2 of them, you're right in there, or you're winning the game, even though you got outplayed.
Especially with the quality of the goaltenders
Yeah.
at this level. We forgot to mention that Corona for DU had 22 saves last night. So that's pretty good. He let 1 through, but hey, we'll take it.
And I don't know how many scoring updates I'm going to give you guys today, but now Colorado's up 3-2 on this short period.
Wow.
This short period,
Man,
they
they're
are
shooting
going
crazy.
for it.
And it's the first period, right?
Yep.
Right
and
on.
then we move on to SCSU. They really needed to get this sweep. They didn't get it. They already lost the first match. They lost 5-2, but not because of gameplay. They outshot Omaha by almost double. And yeah, they lost 5-2. Their goalie had a bad night. Penalties didn't seem to be a big issue. Brett Larson back on the bench, but they are still missing some key players. Nick Parabix and Sam Henches. They should
Olympians,
be,
right?
Yeah, the Olympians. They should be back. Maybe tonight. Maybe they're going to give them the whole week off. But you know what? I think SCSU bounces back and they take care of Omaha in Omaha to get the split.
Well, think about it this way. Why not rest them? Because these regular season games, they're pretty much well set. They're already starting to probably gear up for the NCHC tournament, right?
Well, why they need these wins is because luckily Duluth lost.
Okay.
But right now, Duluth and St. Cloud State are sitting in the middle and are due for a matchup. Now, St. Cloud State needs to pass Duluth to make sure they get home ice, not Duluth.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I thought something cool. So this isn't on our current list. But I was watching the Minnesota Gophers beat Penn State last night. Penn State's not a great team. I think they have 3 wins. Minnesota's up in the top 10, I believe. They're a great team. But I was telling Jim before the show that I really want to see St. Cloud State get matched up against the U of M, because we have 2 brother pairs that will meet in the tournament if it happens. Parabix's brother is on Minnesota, and Easton Brzezinski from St. Cloud State, his brother, is also on Minnesota.
Interesting.
So it'd be cool to see like a family affair in the tournament.
Yeah, that's why the Steelers should pick up JT Watt so that all 3 Watt brothers can be on the same team.
Yeah.
It'll make it a lot easier on the parents.
And it's just fun. And then last but not least, we're going back to the East Coast. I only highlight UMass because of Taylor McCarr. They are a contender for the championship. I don't think they're going to win it this year, but you know what? They have been in it every year, really with Cal McCarr and all of them. They've always made a run. But Taylor McCarr did not score. He doesn't have a lot of goals on the seasons or a lot of points, but everyone needs to remember he is a freshman. Maybe not as good as Kale, but you know what? I think there's a lot of room for him to grow.
Oh my goodness, he's an 18-year-old freshman. There's a huge difference between being 18 and 22.
Yep.
Let me tell you, when I went to college, I found out that those 21 and 22-year-olds are a heck of a lot more mature. They've been in the weight room, and that's part of being a freshman and in college, playing and competing against guys 4 years older.
Yeah, and it might be a little different for him. He's used to the Canadian League.
Is he? Okay.
That he played in Canada for a really long time. But yeah, they ended up pulling off the win 2-1 over Connecticut. Probably shouldn't have been that close, but they outplayed Connecticut on every phase of the puck. They were faster. They got dirty down low on the boards. But yeah, after that, we'll just have to see how UMass turns out in the tournament. And leaving college hockey, now that we've been talking about Taylor McCarr, let's talk a little about the Avalanche, who I keep giving you updates about.
Exactly. Now they're in Buffalo. They're playing in Buffalo.
Yep.
They're on a road trip. It's a 3-game road trip. Who else do they have in that road trip?
So they have Boston coming up after this one, and then they follow that up with Detroit. I really only see the big trouble game being Detroit. I do think they're going to get 2 out of 3, if not 3 out of 3. Boston's kind of playing with a little bit of urgency because of that they're sitting in the 8th seed in the East, and they're trying to climb up to hopefully get a better standing going. But the big thing with that matchup is right now Buffalo shouldn't be an issue. They traded Jack Eichel, who used to be their captain. He was a great player. He's now on Vegas' team. They didn't get much. They got future picks, but nothing significant to turn this Buffalo team around. They're clearly in a rebuild. And you know what? The Avalanche, we're in our prime. This is our team. This is who's going to win the cup. We are going to make our runs, I think, for the next 3-4 years. Are we going to win them all? Hockey's hard to repeat. Tampa Bay just did it recently, but it is a tough thing to do.
And there's a tremendous buzz here in Denver. Denver is a hockey town a little bit. Now, I can just relate back to in 2001 when we won the Stanley Cup. The bars were packed every single playoff game. And a lot of our games, in our series, we went to 7 games. And I'm telling you, I am looking forward, and we should mention that you guys can come down to Brothers Bar and Grill here at the Shops of Northfield anytime, and you can see any hockey that you need to see or want to see.
Yeah, we have the whole package.
You have everything, and not only the NHL package, but the NCAA package too.
Yeah, and we have a thing too. So a lot of people, if you don't have DirecTV, there are still restrictions on Avalanche games for a lot of cable providers. But for DirecTV, there is no restriction, so we will always have the Avalanche game on.
Excellent.
But yeah, going on that, our road trip, hopefully we're going to come out with 2 to 3 wins on this road trip, hopefully starting tonight. You never know what's going to happen when you go into a away game, but this Avalanche team is built like none other. Even if we lose, we lost McKinnon for 3-4 games last time we played Boston, and honestly, we didn't miss a beat. Usually when you lose a superstar, you drop off a little bit, but we have had no issues because we have such good depth. First, second, third, fourth line. Scoring can come from anywhere. And we are just solid all around. I got to give a shout out to Darcy Kemper. I know it's your first year with us. He was in Minnesota, then he was in Arizona, and now he's here. But he is right now in the top 10. I believe he's 5th on goals allowed per game. And he's in the top 10 on save percentage. And he's an older goalie, sitting about 31, 32 years old. But I really think that this is going to be his chance at a cup.
Yep. Now let me ask you this. You're from Minnesota, that's well documented.
Yeah.
So is your favorite team the Minnesota Wild? Is it?
Nope. Favorite team is the Colorado Avalanche. And the reason why, so I was born in Wisconsin, moved up to Minnesota when I was young, probably 5 years old. I got into hockey because my brother's soccer goalie also played hockey, and he was like, I saw him play one time, and I was like, I'm going to play this sport. Mm-hmm. Well, in the time frame I went up to go play hockey, the Minnesota North Stars had moved
to Dallas.
Yep. And Minnesota was left without a team for many years. The Colorado Avalanche had just became a thing the following year, coming down from Quebec.
Yep, they were the Nordiques.
And so I was like, hey, they're new. I'm new to the game, and that became my favorite team. And you know what? I couldn't have picked a better team to follow.
No, because in '96 they won the Cup.
Yeah, and then they won it again shortly after.
2001.
And they went back and forth with the Red Wings. Yes. I don't hate Detroit, but I do hate the Red Wings because of being such a diehard Avalanche fan. And I really hope Detroit can get back to a more stable and tougher team to play because
that team from right around when the millennial changed.
Yeah.
With Yzerman and all that. I mean,
Sergei
they were
Fedorov, Chris
tougher
Osgood.
than nails.
But
that was our big rival.
Yeah, but since then, they've fallen off quite a bit. So the rivalry's not as heated as it used to be. I mean, I still remember it, so it's still heated for me.
There were a lot of fights.
But ironically, let's talk about who the Avalanche's biggest contender is in the West, and that's the Minnesota Wild right now.
Really?
Right now, Minnesota Wild went through a short rebuild. Now, I sat through the Avalanche rebuild when we had Duchesne, pretty much a lot of the similar faces that are on this team, minus the young guys. But we made it. Joe Sakic, hats off to you. I do not know how you pulled off that Duchesne trade, but you got us so many picks, and you built us up for success to be successful for a long time, and it all started with that Matt Duchesne trade.
And you know what? A lot of times, and we have a perfect example here in Denver, a great player doesn't always make as a great person that's in the front office.
Yeah.
And John Elway has struggled. And the Broncos, minus the sweepstakes, which he won, getting Peyton Manning, and he may win another one. I don't know. I mean, it's George Patton now that's pulling the strings.
Yeah.
But it's great to see Joe Sakic, who was just a wonderful, wonderful player to watch when he was playing for the Avalanche, be able to turn not only the Avalanche around, but to be able to have this kind of success.
Well, and he saw something I didn't see, because Matt Duchesne, the Flying Dutchman is what we used to call him, I loved him as a player, and I thought it was the biggest mistake that we lost him, because honestly, McKinnon, Landeskog, and Duchesne were just an amazing combo, but the issue was we had no depth, not like we do now. Right. If our first line didn't score, we weren't scoring. And he was able to build this team into an amazing, dominant team. And when I say dominant, this Buffalo game, even though it's close right now, Vegas opened the odds at the Avalanche were negative 440. Wow. And in hockey, you usually only see negative 100 and negative 200. Rarely do you see a team favored.
So it's
like
four
that.
times if you want to be able to use the metrics the right way. And tell me if this is right, because I'm still learning. If it's going to be 440, then it's basically 4 times more chance for them to lose. Is that what it is, or is
negative
that scoring?
440 is for them to win. So,
no, I know, but the Colorado Avalanche are favored.
Yeah. So what I would have to do to win $100, because that's what this is always been, I would have to bet $440 to get $100 in profit.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And
gotcha.
so that's how they favor it.
Okay.
So, but yeah, going to the Minnesota Wild, a team that kind of they've been around for a little bit. They had great success when they started the franchise, making playoffs in just their first year. I remember that team. Jim Dowd was on that team. Richard Park, you killed me every time. I've never seen a guy hit posts more than you in my entire life. But you were an amazing player. You would get through everybody, beat the goalie, and upper crossbar every time. It was just...
Was he a little bit like Happy Gilmore? Did he fight with his skate?
Oh, he should have. But he was an amazing guy to watch on the ice. But since then, they've gone through some changes. Marian Gaborik was our first ever pick. He's still in the league. I believe he's been bouncing around. He's either on, I think he's on the LA Kings right now. He was with the Rangers for a bit. But just a great player. Much respect for all those guys that were on the Minnesota Wild. But now it's all about Kirill Kaprizov. This young player has really turned this Minnesota Wild team around. He is leading them in every stat: points, assists, goals. Matt Dumba, you're doing a great job. He was a player that Alex Tuch is having a good career with Vegas Knights. He was given up by the Wild because, you know, the expansion draft, you can only protect so many players. And we protected Matt Dumba over Tuch. And Tuch, it kind of looks like a mistake because you were having a great career. But Dumba, you're just a force on the line. Now, Minnesota Wild has a little bit tougher schedule than we do to keep up with us. They're starting off with Edmonton Oilers, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for the Oilers, arguably one of the best players in the game. I really like how fast he is. When players talk about him, they say he floats on the ice. He is just a force. Following it up with the Ottawa Senators, should be a cakewalk for the Wild. Then followed by Toronto. They are also on a road trip, I looked at. They are on a 3-game road trip. Toronto has Austin Matthews. Can't say enough about this guy. Yeah. He is just amazing.
So, Seth, this is amazing. You really did your homework. And I just want to tell you that what a great analysis. But just for some of the lay people out there, how many, like if you were to say percentage-wise, how much of the regular season is over percentage-wise? 60, 70%? How close are we to the playoffs?
So we're sitting at, so I looked at games played as we're sitting around 48, between 48 and 50 right now for a lot of teams.
48 and 50% of the
No,
game?
they played games. So,
Okay, so
there's
they're-
82 games in the season.
So they are just past the halfway point.
So
Okay.
still time for people to make a run. Honestly, you see it all the time. Teams will randomly go on these 10-game. LA Kings, for example, rough start to the season, but they went on like a 10, 12-game tear, and they are sitting in a playoff spot right now. So plenty of time for teams to make adjustments and move up.
But we don't. The one thing that I would say as devil's advocate here is let's just hope that Colorado can maintain and they're not peaking now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you never know. And, you know, that's the thing about the NBA season, too. It's an 82-game season. You know, that's another reason why it's hard for me to really get into the NBA season until really the last probably, month of the season.
Yeah.
Because so much changes. And there can be injuries. There can be a ton of different things.
So the big thing I see with this going right now is the Avs have already won the President's Trophy last year. Looked like they're probably going to win it this year. Only team I could see maybe upsetting for it is the Florida Panthers, who are just having an outstanding season. They actually played the Wild last night and beat them 6-2. They are good.
Okay.
It's weird to say Florida's good at hockey.
And you keep saying that Colorado is deep, so even if we were to lose maybe a McKinnon or something on a freak injury, there would be people that can step in and still score and still be able to do things. You're telling me that the Avalanche, as far as their four top lines, are just solid.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for the Avalanche is this is the year you got to get over their hump. We've been back-to-back years. You were the 8th seed against Calgary and you upset them, beat them. And then we lost to, who did we lose to? I think we lost to San Jose. I think we got through Nashville, lost San Jose. And then last year, thought it was our year again. And Vegas made some adjustments and they eliminated us again. We are a dominant regular season team and we need to figure out how to get to that next step in playoffs. And you know what? As much as I am on the bandwagon for the Avs and saying, hey, we're going to win the Cup, I'm still a little skeptical because we got to get over those 7-game series. We need to put together a good product.
Yep.
And I don't see why not. We don't even have 10 regulation losses this year, and we're over the midway point of the season. So I'm really hoping this is our year. I like the pieces we put in place. We have the emergence of Abi Kubal. We have Cale Makar's having a hell of a season.
Yep.
And you know what? We still have McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog. We are a dominant force.
Now remember, we talked about this during football season, okay? And this is a true fact. It takes teams a little while to learn how to win in pressure situations. Mm-hmm. And we saw it, and I go all the way back to the 1989 and 1990 seasons when the Detroit Pistons owned to the Chicago Bulls. Okay, they owned them. And it wasn't until 91 that Michael Jordan and all the boys that were on that squad that ended up winning 6 NBA championships figured out how to beat the Pistons. Mm-hmm. We talked about it during the NFL playoffs. Buffalo, again, a team that doesn't really know how to win yet. Cincinnati, well, we saw what happened to them in the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying that Cincinnati choked because they didn't. LA put together a really nice drive.
And they put together a really nice team. If you look at the adjustments so Cincinnati drafted Joe Burrow, they drafted Jamar Chase, but overall didn't make a lot of huge adjustments during the season. And you look at the Rams, they added Von Miller to an already stellar defense. You bring in Matt Stafford. You just ended up making the right adjustments at the right time. Cincinnati, hats off to you. You made a great run. But the Rams front office really made the adjustments. And that's what I think is separating right now the Avalanche from the rest of the NHL. You see Joe Sakic active and everything. There is a rumor of a Claude Giroux trade. Now, for those of you who don't know, he's the captain of Philadelphia Flyers. Phenomenal player. He's a little up there in age. I mean, he's younger than me, but
he could be like a Ray Bork.
Yeah.
Now, Ray Bork came from Boston.
And Rob Blake came from LA that same year.
Yes, and it made a huge difference. And Bork got his first cup.
Yeah.
Which was wonderful.
So it's really interesting to see the changes we've made. If you go from Avalanche changes over the last 5 years, we have a completely different setup of a team, and it's working. And so
excellent.
I'm hoping we get it.
Good deal. No, I like it. I like the positivity. And, I didn't realize that we were only halfway through. When is the trade deadline over for hockey? Is there a trade deadline kind of like in the end?
Yeah, it's coming up soon. My guess is it's got to be in the next 2 weeks because that will put you almost 3/4 done with the season. So
what's the time say?
It says 39 minutes of our awesome show.
So we usually try to shoot for 42 minutes. And remember, 42 minutes is what you get when you watch any kind of primetime TV show or any kind of radio show. There's usually 18 minutes of commercials. Now, we don't do any commercials except for a little bit. We're going to do one right now, and we're going to talk a little bit about Brothers. Tell them a little bit what you got going on coming up for this next week at Brothers.
Yeah, so for this next week, there is no UFC, but we're going to have all the sports going on. Right now, we're in the midst of planning our summer bash. For those of you who've come down for it before, it's a great time. We get a couple breweries to host it. We usually do live music. We're about to bust out. We're waiting on weather. Probably in a couple weeks, we'll have all the yard games out. Ooh. And Friday, Saturday night, we will be alternating beer pong tournaments or water pong. You got to call it water pong.
Oh, is it water pong?
Yeah, have to call it water pong. Water pong tournaments. We'll also have a dance floor going. So we're getting...
Dance floor?
Yeah, we have the dance floor. You have it.
I want to know when the KY wrestling contest is up here in the Mez.
Up here in the Mez. Yeah, we're probably gonna pass on that one this year, but you know what? We're gonna be looking for every avenue to throw the best party. We already have the best drink specials, and we have the best fan bases out here. Like I said, for hockey, and how I brought it up for football this entire show. I don't care if you're a Bengals fan. Honestly, it hurts me a little bit if you're a Green Bay fan, but we'll put the game on for you. We give you pretty much your own little TV, and you can watch the game, enjoy it with some great drink specials and some amazing food. Now, if you haven't had a chance, our boneless wings, I will put them against anyone in the country. It's never frozen. All of our sauces are homemade, and honestly, our ranch ruins everybody's ranch in the entire country.
It really does. And we had the chicken coop out back, so we have the freshest chicken in all of Denver.
Yeah, we give them weight training, so they got the big wings.
And you know what? We humanely, matter of fact, we let them choose which ones want to be served first.
Yeah.
So we're really looking out for you PETA people out there.
It's like Hunger Games.
All right, let me tell you a little bit about Pro Comfort Medical. We're a company that will give away a no-cost diabetic/orthotic shoe. Now, they're not just for diabetes or people that have trouble with orthotics. It's for everybody. All you need is your Medicare or your Medicaid standalone, or make sure you have it paired with a PPO. HMO, if you want to do that, we'll definitely take you on and give you a no-cost pair of shoes. We just ask for 2 references of people that have the PPOs. It's a preventative program. It's for your joints. It's for pain reduction. And let me tell you, everybody that's gotten their pairs of shoes can't tell you. They can't believe it, okay? Our shoes are engineered to last for 3 years. Heavy use, 18 months. You know, when you go buy a new pair of shoes at any of the different places, Dick's Sporting Goods or wherever else you go, they're designed to fall apart within a year. And they do that because they want you to buy more shoes. These shoes are engineered because we want them to last. We give you 3 sets of inserts. Those inserts you can put in your other shoes. It's all about use it or lose it, and it's joint pain management, and you don't want to have to get hip replacements and knee replacements. So please check us out. Pro Comfort Medical. You can reach us 303-519-5579. Just ask for me. I'll probably be the one who picks up the phone. Anything else you want to add to this segment? Because we're going to go into a next segment, which really you guys don't want to miss.
Yeah, and just to give you a little tease, in the next segment, we're going to be talking about Sha'Carri Richardson's ban from the Summer Olympics and how the Russian Kamila Valieva was allowed to participate.
Very
so
good.
Come on back and tune in for the second part of the show.
Absolutely. You don't want to miss it.